You are listening to Skin, Earth, Vitality, the podcast where ancient wisdom meets modern vitality. If you are seeking to reconnect with your innate vibrancy, you're in the right place. I'm Emily Davis, a seasoned holistic esthetician and herbalist. Join me as we unlock the secrets of ancient skincare practices, explore the beauty of seasonal and nature-based living, herbalism, and true holistic well-being for you and the broader ecosystem. This podcast is brought to you by Stratum Aesthetics. Head to stratumaesthetics.com to find curated skincare, body care, and other wellness products hand-selected by me. Now enjoy the show. My friend, we are back. I hope you're having a beautiful day today. This episode is more of, I guess, kind of a think piece. And if you like it, let me know, because I am interested in doing more like this. This came from inspiration from one of my Substack essays about sacred beauty, which I've now put up as a blog on my website, and I will link it. But I want to talk about this because if we're not unraveling our relationship with both beauty and consumerism, I feel like it's so easy to stay stuck in systems that profit off of our disconnection. And I don't personally want to live in that space. And so for today's topic, I thought it would be real fun to talk about beauty, conscious consumerism, and capitalism. And I'm shifting the focus of my business and really wanting to focus on creating a space where I offer products and experiences that help people reconnect with their sacred beauty. I've worked with clients one-on-one. I do feel like I've mastered that side, and I have hit capacity for my reach with that. And I am feeling called towards something maybe a little bit bigger. And I'm really focusing on e-commerce and selling the products that I've curated. So with that, there has been some interesting things come up for me. Like, how do I participate in commerce, but not in mindless consumerism? And it reminds me of when I was young in my career. I've been an esthetician for 18 years. And in the early days, I did feel pretty weird about it. I felt like there was a disconnect between my values and my work. I felt like I was working in this like shallow career. You know, there's that saying, beauty is only skin deep. It's shallow. It doesn't reflect a person's true character. And I think that there's some cultural conditioning that I had to work through around like beauty not mattering. And over the years, I've actually come to feel very differently about that. I think physical beauty does get to matter, and tending to your beauty is actually very sacred. And I'm not talking about like the beauty that marketing and advertising pushes us towards. I'm just talking like every single human obviously is beautiful. And I realize now that I was confusing the marketing of beauty with the essence of beauty. And that's because I came into this career through the lens of the beauty industry, which does promote obviously performative beauty, and it thrives on shame and not enoughness. And through this, it's become this giant that's projected to exceed $650 billion by the end of this year, 2025. And so, of course, this profiting off of pathologizing aging and selling impossible standards. I'm thinking like glass skin. I can tell you I've worked with thousands of people, and there is not one single person on this earth who has glass skin. And it's keeping people on a cycle by creating problems through formulations, skincare formulations that disrupt your skin that then they, of course, have the answer to in another product. So this gives me the ick. I have come to feel that beauty is not necessarily the problem. It's the marketing messages of how we relate to beauty that I think really needs to be unraveled in myself and in many other people. And I think the same thing can be said about commerce. Obviously, I had some weird feelings come up about shifting my focus into my income being through commerce. And I think this is where consumerism really shows up. It's not just the beauty industry that's creating impossible standards. It's this culture of like, buy, that so many of us are swimming in. There's like TikTok hauls and Amazon Prime hauls and buy every single serum that someone flashes on Instagram. It's like this hamster wheel of grabbing what's ever trending and then tossing it aside when the next thing pops up. That's consumerism. And I would say under consumerism is this whole ecosystem of scarcity and lack. And that's cultural conditioning. It's so easy to think that Amazon or Target hauls or buying a shitload of stuff feels like abundance. And it sounds almost counterintuitive because it's like, well, how is this scarcity? I have more stuff. But if you think about it, if you feel truly abundant, if you really trusted that you had everything you needed, you wouldn't feel pulled to constantly grab more. You'd feel so secure and grounded in your sufficiency. And so I think about that every time I don't follow influencers, but they still will pop up here and there. And every time I see that, it's what I think is like, wow, they're operating from such a scarce mindset and it doesn't feel glamorous to me anymore. It doesn't feel enticing to me. And obviously I'm not like perfect. And I have times where I'm like operating from that scarcity mindset and overindulgent with purchases. But it is just something to recognize. That excess feeling. It's like so frenetic and restless. It feels like very anxious and like it's never done. And this is why influencers are constantly coming back into your scroll. Like, look what I have now. Here's the link, buy more. And when you're in that constant consuming mindset, it's like, okay, maybe this next thing is the thing that's going to make me feel like I'm enough. Now I'm going to feel abundant. And like I said, I do think this is cultural conditioning. And so it's not like just a personal problem, but the only one that you can work on is yourself, really. So thinking about unraveling it can definitely be helpful. And before I go any further into this topic, I want to point out that it's very in right now to proclaim the evils of capitalism. And there's definitely, like, I named the evils of the beauty industry and the evils of consumerism. And these are very entangled in capitalism, in this like very specific version of capitalism that many of us are exposed to. It's so extractive and it treats our earth as a commodity instead of a living being. It can be very exploitive. And like I said, it encourages this excessive consumerism. And especially when it intersects with other institutions like for-profit healthcare and corporate lobbying and school systems that are designed to reward productivity and like obedience. We get this perfect storm that causes these very ugly dynamics. And big beauty only exists because of this specific form of capitalism, because it does encourage corporate greed. But you know me, I'm a fan of nuance. What if capitalism itself isn't the villain? Because capitalism at its core is just a system built on a private ownership and voluntary exchange for goods and services. It means that people can create things and sell things and earn money for their ideas and labor. And some of the beauty of it is that it encourages innovation and ingenuity, as well as personal freedom and autonomy. You're not going to be stuck with one state-run version of something. You get to find or even create for yourself what actually resonates with your values. And so from where I sit, I don't feel that capitalism is inherently bad. I think that there's a lot of beauty to it, especially like a benevolent form of capitalism. But like anything, obviously it can be distorted and shaped by this disconnection. And then you layer in those corrupt systems that I mentioned before. Capitalism obviously mutates into something very extractive and manipulative. But I do just keep coming back to this thing. Like, what if commerce itself isn't the problem? What if it's like this relationship that we are in with commerce that we can change? Just like with beauty, if we can rewrite our relationship with beauty, we can also rewrite our relationship with commerce and consumption. And when I say beauty, I'm not meaning like our relationship with enjoying a sunset. It is the same thing, but I think what's really tangled up is our relationship that we have with our own physical beauty. So if we can rewrite that relationship with beauty, we can also rewrite our relationship with commerce and with consumption. It is not bad to consume. All creatures consume. Birds gather twigs for their nests. Bees collect nectar. Think of like a beaver. They're very consumptive with like their pieces of trees and stuff that they're creating a dam with. Even with fungi, it consumes the dead in order to nourish the living. You know, consumption itself is natural. I think the problem is excessive consumption without reverence. What really got me thinking about this and about the consumption part was the book Braiding Sweetgrass. If you haven't read it, I think I've mentioned it on the podcast so many times, but it is such a good book, especially if you're listening to this as it's being released at the very beginning of fall, end of summer. It just gives me all the vibes. It's so good. So check that out because it does talk about this natural cycle. I think she really talks about like a gift economy as the ideal economy. And I think what we're seeing right now with this like F capitalism chorus, this vibe actually, in my opinion, has more in common with Puritanism than I think a lot of people realize. I think it's this reflexive morality that says if you were truly ethical, then you would deny yourself. It's also like this, you shouldn't care about beauty. Beauty's only skin deep. Don't buy anything beyond your survival needs. Keep yourself small and restrained in order to prove your goodness through denial. But the thing is, this reaction isn't the same as creation. Just declaring that you're the victim of capitalism isn't building something new. It's just flipping the shame to an opposite side. You're still letting the same scarcity logic set the terms, and now you're proving your virtue by what you don't allow yourself. And I'm not interested in that. I don't want to live in that system of mindless consumption, but I also don't want to live in this system where the highest virtue is deprivation. I don't believe that is of God. I feel that the earth is so incredibly abundant. And so what excites me is creating something else entirely, asking ourselves, how do we participate differently? How do we buy and sell and tend to our beauty in ways that are in integrity and feel like very alive and very juicy? And just talking about this makes me think of the Buckminster Fuller quote. He was an inventor in like the, I think 30s, for sure 40s, 50s. He said, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes that existing model obsolete. And that just feels so liberating to me. We do not have to fight against everything. Instead, we can create so that that old model, nobody's even paying attention to it. It's just boring. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. And that's what I'm interested in. Beauty, where we're not coming from shame or we're not selling to shame, and business that's not coming from exploitation. And so what does rewriting this look like? I thought a lot about this as I was putting together notes for this episode. This was like most of my summer, was thinking about how the heck I was going to cover this topic. Like, what are the steps? Are there 5 steps to untangling your relationship with beauty? No. And it's honestly like both with consumerism and with beauty, these are still things I'm working on untangling with myself. And I'm sure it's a lifelong pursuit. And so, I can say, like, think about what you are buying before you press add to cart. But I also feel like just listing stuff off like that falls really flat and it feels really surface level. And it also feels like it's treating a symptom, which if you're new here, I'm not into that. So when we break it down, there are 2 things that I'm talking about untangling. The first is our relationship with excessive consumption, not consumption itself. All living things consume, but that excess franticness, the chasing that comes from scarcity, from that story that you're not enough and that what you have isn't enough, right? And so the second is our relationship with beauty as conditional worth. For so many women, beauty has been like this ticket for approval and safety, and it really also comes down to survival. And so that's not shallow conditioning. It is centuries of being told that your value rests on your appearance. So untangling that is big work. It is lifelong work. So instead of just talking about shopping habits, I want to invite us to go a little bit deeper, to sit with these root stories and start questioning them. So I have a list of questions that I'm going to leave you with today, and I hope you come back to them. So we'll start with consumption and scarcity. When I buy something, am I buying it from a place of enoughness or a place of not enoughness? So every time you're buying something, just do a quick little gut check, and it doesn't have to even change your behavior at first. Just note it. Just take it as data. Keep doing what you're doing, but just note it so that you can start building that habit of asking that question. The next one is, what feeling am I actually chasing with this purchase? Is it safety? Am I chasing confidence or distraction from something, or belonging? And then finally, for the consumption and scarcity, how would it feel to trust that what I already have is enough? So I've played with those. I've been playing with those. So every time I go to buy something, and I decided that fountain pens, I was going to be really into fountain pens, and I had to go to the stationery store yesterday to buy one. And I still went and bought it. Did I need it? Absolutely not. I have pens coming out of my ears, but it's just like, okay, let's just start thinking about this. And you're not going to change your habits with just one question one time, but I do think that this is the way that you start to unravel it. And then when it comes to beauty, this makes me want to cry, just because I've had such a unique education over the last 18 years of working with women every single day on their appearance and how they see themselves, and, watching videos. I was watching a video on Instagram yesterday, and the girl just really felt like she had a very tangled up relationship with beauty, and it was making my heart just hurt for her. And so I feel so passionate about this. So on beauty as our conditional worth, when did I first learn that my body was not mine, but an object to be judged? And how have I been living from that place? The next question is, what part of me actually believes that my face or my body or my age determines my right to take up space in this world? If I stripped away every external metric, so no mirrors, no likes, no compliments even, what would my relationship with beauty actually be? And again, I'm talking about our own physical beauty. And then my final question, what would it mean if my beauty was never for anyone else's gaze, but simply an expression of my aliveness? What does that mean for me? So I'll leave you with those questions. I hope this episode gave you something to think about. This is the energy I come from in my bi-yearly self-care face massage workshops. I will be announcing the dates for that soon, but if you want to get on the wait list for it, spaces are limited because I like to keep it intimate. Check the show notes, or you can go to stratumaesthetics.com to just sign up for that wait list. Those people will be emailed about it first and get the first dibs to buy tickets. It's a 6 weeks self-care face massage where we get together once a week for 6 weeks in the evening and massage our faces. I teach you how to massage your face. I'm going to be adding in full body abhyanga this time. We do intraoral mouth massage because that's a whole thing where we're holding so much emotion. So if that's interesting to you, go check it out. I will be back next week. And until then, be well. You've been listening to Skin, Earth, Vitality. If you like what you heard today, consider giving me a 5-star rating. It helps other people just like you to find the show. You can shop products and find all of my offerings on my website, stratumaesthetics.com, and follow me on my social channels @stratumaesthetics.